Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So, in honor of Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 14 premiering tonight, there was a podcast that Carlos King, who's turning into the Black Andy Cohen right before our eyes, you guys, he had a podcast where he was talking with Cherey because they were doing an interview and promo for this upcoming season. And so, again, the question is revisited of whether or not Kandi has too much power at Bravo. And, how does she feel if it's fair? Does she feel if Phaedra should have the opportunity now to come back on the show now that it has been after, 6 or so years? And here's the response. So I'm going to play the clip, you guys, and then we're going to react.
Let me ask you this. I'm curious, and it's funny, it just came to my head. Let's just say what it is, because she went on record saying this. Kandi said that she doesn't want Phaedra on the show while she's on because of what happened season 9. And that if Bravo wants Phaedra on, then that's fine. She'll bow out gracefully. You've been on the show with people you don't get along with, people where you guys both threw shade and all this other stuff. Now, granted, what Phaedra did allegedly is obviously worse than anything you guys have experienced. But with that being said, do you think it's fair that one person may have that much control on someone coming back on the show?
No, and I actually invited Phaedra to actually show. I think that I've been on the show many times, many years, but why didn't I come alone? I have been in situations that I was uncomfortable. I have talked about heavy things that I have gone on in my life. We are here to do a reality show. And as much as I love Kandi, I feel like at the end of the day, they should, or she should understand that this is for the show. We can't be, I don't want to talk about that. It's not cool. So we can't do it. It's for the betterment of the show. We all have been in uncomfortable and talked about shit that we don't want to talk about.
So that was Sheree's response to Carlos King's question about whether or not Kandi has too much power at Bravo and if it is fair that, she basically told Bravo that if Phaedra comes back, she's quitting the show. So here's what I want to say, because I see both sides and I see that fans are still split on this even after 6 years, right? So on one hand, Bravo technically can call Kandi's bluff if they wanted to, right? Because she's making $2 million a season. She's the highest paid on Real Housewives of Atlanta now that NeNe's gone and everything else, right? So if Bravo wanted to, they could call Kandi's bluff and see if she's really going to leave her $2 million a year salary for basically playing a neutral character at this point, not really having to get into any mess or any drama, right? And getting spinoffs is the new Bravo darling, like NeNe used to be, is doing all the press and, is getting all of these different bags. Kandi also can say, hey, I don't want to film with Phaedra, just like Melody Holt is doing on Love and Marriage Huntsville, choosing not to film with her ex-husband and wanting to, quote, protect her peace. Kandi has that leverage if she wants to say, hey, I don't want to be on any cast trips with Phaedra. I don't want to film with her, this and that, or what have you. I still want to be able to do me. And I find it interesting because this season, Apollo is going to be on the show. The same Apollo that Kandi and Todd almost got arrested by the feds because they were hiding his toys in their garage. Almost went to federal prison, being accomplices. And here's the thing. For those of you that are like, hey, we can't dictate how Kandi should feel about what the rumor is, and we can't dictate how long Kandi's going to be upset about this. And I think we're all in agreement at this point that obviously spreading this rumor was wrong, right? But there are a couple things that I have questions. And I have questions as far as Portia was actually the person who brought the rumor on camera, and Kandi has forgiven her and has not forgiven Phaedra. And I don't understand as to why you are not as upset with the person who actually said on camera this alleged rumor and continue to be cool with her, cordial with her, whatever, but you want nothing to do with Phaedra. You want nothing. She does not exist to you. And I feel like the problem now is it's so toxic now between, the demise of Kandi and Phaedra, because they had a real friendship, you guys. And Phaedra at one point had said when she was going through her divorce that she loved Kandi more than she loved her husband. I was like, what? So I didn't think of it at the time, but I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like, was there something there that I missed? Because people still think that there's, at least a dungeon part of it is true. Because remember, Kandi did the dungeon tour the following season and, alluded to having threesomes and now having non-disclosure agreements because of what went down with Portia. Because remember, they almost hooked up with Portia. So there's a lot, I feel, there's something else that's personal that I feel is ultimately the smoking gun. And I don't know if it's because of how close Kandi and Phaedra got that we may not know about, that she feels, this is the ultimate betrayal, whereas she views Portia as more so as a coworker. So maybe she finds it easier to forgive her. I will say, though, this isn't the first time that Bravo has experienced something like this on their program. I'm not sure if those of you who are familiar with Real Housewives of OZ, and I'll give this example because there's plenty of other examples of some downright disturbing things that have happened on these housewife shows, and these housewives did not get fired for it. But in the case of Naked Wasted that took place in the OC, which was infamously when Tamra was trying to get Gretchen, her former co-star, wasted, basically. Because she was trying to see whether or not she was going to cheat on her fiance, because she basically felt that she was with her fiance for money and status and everything else, and basically wanted to have her set up in this situation to where she would be under the influence, she would be inebriated, and wanted to see, okay, if we put her in the room with so-and-so, with this dude, that, is XYZ going to take place? And nothing happened to Tamra. And this is somebody actively being under the influence, not a rumor that somebody wants to, have somebody under the influence and take advantage of them. But this was somebody actually under the influence and actively making sure they were under the influence during the episode. And that person did not lose their job. Now, I will say that Phaedra did not do herself any favors by not, even attempting to apologize, by not even attempting to say, hey, show any type of remorse, show any type of feelings. And not to defend her, but I think where Phaedra was at that point, because the rumor, of course, allegedly was of, the producer that possibly told this rumor to Phaedra to reveal on camera and everything else. The rumor was that Phaedra was done, that she was pissed that Kandi and Todd took Apollo's side in the divorce. And I think since then had been on her own get back, had been on her own type of revenge steez, basically. And first it was befriending Nene, which we know that Kandi and Nene don't get along. And then, you know, there was rumors that she was stopping permits for Kandi's restaurants at OLG. Remember that? Because Phaedra is also an attorney and she knows, you know, some of the top people, you know, in Atlanta that have the power to, you know, stall or delay authorizing permits and things of that nature for, you know, businesses and all of that. So there was rumors she was doing that. And then ultimately it led to this. Because remember, we never actually saw Phaedra on camera say this rumor. The only thing we saw on camera was Phaedra alluding to Shamia and Kandi having something. And that they were allegedly hooking up or what have you. But we've never actually saw Phaedra say it. We just ultimately found out, you know, that she was responsible for this at the reunion and basically went mute after that. So there was that. But I think the one thing I will say, regardless of what side of the coin you guys are on this, is the biggest issue, though, in regards to this, is that it still kind of has a hole, right? It still kind of has a hole in the show because there was no resolution, right? There was no resolution to the storyline. And I think that is where, you know, Cherey is coming from. Like, basically, we've kind of just, you know, we threw everything at Portia because she was the one that stayed on the show. I actually think that Phaedra not being on the show actually benefited her, because I would think, okay, if you publicly said a rumor about me that wasn't true, I want you to be, you know, publicly apologizing or publicly getting dragged the following season so that you could see, you know, that the consequences of your actions were not okay. But I thought at least there would be an opportunity for a sit down, to at least have one sit down to see if there was an attempt to, you know, of an apology, of some sort of reconciliation, of just of something to at least resolve the storyline. Because it's the same issue that we have on Potomac as well, where the Candace and Monique situation is never going to be resolved, right? Because ultimately Monique decided not to come back to the show. So there's that. But I just felt as though a lot of some of the anger and some of the feelings and emotions that were all taken out on Portia, I felt a lot of it needed to also go to Phaedra. That the same energy needed to go to Phaedra, and she low-key kind of bypassed that backlash because she was no longer on the show. And I think people thought, oh, well, you know, that's a statement that she's no longer on the show, but really, she didn't have to deal with any consequences. And I also found it interesting that Sheree said that Phaedra had asked if, you know, Kandi was going to be at the fashion show. So I don't know if that's because she intends on respecting Kandi's boundaries of not showing up to the same places as she's at, or if there's something else that's there. But this is the second housewife, I believe, that has publicly said that they've wanted Phaedra back. I remember Kenya said it in 2021, because remember, her and Phaedra, I think, follow each other again, and they were like making comments on each other's channels and on their Instagram, social media pages and whatnot. And then also now, you know, Sheree. And I find this interesting because Sheree is just coming back once again to the show. And Kandi has the tagline, "Don't mess with the boss or you might get fired." And I just wonder, you know, what Kandi's thoughts are on Sheree's comments, because I thought Sheree was going to play it safe and not really say anything, or go, you know, in the support of Kandi and saying, hey, oh, maybe it's not a good idea for her to be on the show. But to Sheree's point, she has filmed with people who she's been uncomfortable with, who she's had some horrible things happen to her by a certain person that she still films scenes with. So in that regard, I do understand her point that she is trying to say, hey, how can we say that we are a reality show? How can we say that we're doing XYZ for the show, but we're also banning people from the show as well, and not giving the opportunity for anybody to be remorseful, not giving the opportunity for anybody to show change behavior, and just banning them. So I do see what she's saying on that, even though we obviously know the rumor was too far. It could have done damage. However, it ended up, you know, for Kandi, she leveraged this. She got more spinoffs from Bravo. She has restaurants. She has acting gigs on The Chi and on Lifetime. You know, she has now the Speak On It YouTube channel. Now there's a spinoff off of the Speak On It channel that is featuring Shamia, who's going to do some type of Real House Husbands of Atlanta type of show on YouTube now. And, you know, there's several bags that Kandi has gotten as a result of this, right? So I'm just wondering, you know, what the ultimate plan is, because it seems like even still, Bravo is still trying to ease Phaedra back into the network, right? Because Phaedra's going to be on the upcoming season of Real Housewives of Ultimate Girls Trip. And also Bravo is promoting the heck out of season 14 of Atlanta. They are hoping that the ratings deliver, that the fans are going to be interested, but it's going to be a very interesting thing, you know, because Phaedra ended up trending after this viral clip, from Carlos King's podcast went viral. So it's going to be interesting in terms of how Phaedra is going to be received on this upcoming Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. It's also going to be interesting to see how the cast is going to be received in season 14 of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now that there's not going to be Portia this season, there's not going to be Cynthia, and of course, NeNe's not back, right? So it's going to be very interesting to see the social media reaction, because remember, this show got delayed airing because Bravo wanted to revamp. They wanted to revamp with new production. They wanted to revamp and try to find the best housewives in terms of the newbies that would be a fit for an ensemble cast. So there is a lot riding on this season's success. So this is huge. And then it's like you already have the distraction of NeNe's lawsuit. And now it keeps coming up, you know, okay, can Phaedra come back to Atlanta? Why is she banned? Does Kandi have too much power at Bravo? This conversation keeps being revisited, and I don't think it's by accident. I do not think it's by accident at all. So there's a lot of implications that is going to take place as a result of what, you know, how successful this season is. And whether or not Bravo and Andy would turn on Kandi the way that they had turned on Lisa Vanderpump, the way that they've turned on Vicky Gunvalson, the way that they have turned on NeNe Leakes, where they get to a point to where it's like, hey, either OGs or second year housewives, you're making too much money. We can use that $2 million and bring in some cheaper housewives who are willing to, you know, do more for less. Because they want the fame, they want, you know, to be on the show. So there is lots of implications, you guys, of what is going to take place, of what the outcome is going to be based off of how successful the show is. So let me know your guys' thoughts. There's a lot to unpack, you guys. What do you guys think? Do you agree that with Sheree that it's not fair that Kandi has all this power at Bravo to block Phaedra from coming back as long as she's on the show? Do you agree that for the show that Phaedra should be back? Or do you feel that Phaedra should still remain banned? Please let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.